Well, good day all. Welcome to Alchemy Within from Out Amongst the Stars. I'm happy you're here with me today. We're going to talk a little bit about what's been happening in the sky with the Venus retrograde, and we've had a full moon, and we have a few other transits in the works. But first, I just wanted to say that if you would be so kind to like or comment on the video and subscribe to the channel. You can actually start with I am grateful for and be entered into a draw for a free reading. Every 44 people I'll draw for a free reading for someone, or you can have a coaching consultation. I am an empowerment coach, so I help people work through what often feels like something emotional that's occurring, or really feeling stuck, or maybe some anxiety, or fears, or even sometimes transitions like grief, or even being caught up in all the craziness of the transits and feeling stuck somewhere. So I can help work through a lot of things, and I bring the astrology into that. So, and if you like to also join the community, you can reach out for that too. So we're just going to carry on here right into what we're going to talk about today. It's really a check-in, because we've had a lot of things going on, and I like to kind of see how people are faring sort of as they go through it, because the work that I do is sort of to help people get through the transits, transitions, and all of our emotional stuff. And this full moon and the Venus retrograde, of course, Venus is to do with our love and beauty and what we desire and what we're drawn to, what we're attracted to, what we find pleasure in. It also has to do with our money, our resources, our material possessions, that sort of thing. So anything around the love and romance, or the beauty, the aesthetics, or the financial material type things. And so relationships could have been very a huge part of the theme here in this last little while, and whether that be romantic or friendships, or business partnerships. And just know that if it's feeling a little bit challenging right now, that we are in this Venus retrograde time. So that will be for 40 days. So it started on July 22nd, and October 3rd it goes forward, but we had some shadow period before and after that. And we just want to make sure that nobody makes any real drastic choices until we're kind of past this, and those, especially when it comes to those types of things. You don't want to be making a choice on a whim, for sure. So as you can see here, Venus is up here in Leo at 28 degrees and 36 minutes. It went retrograde, and that was on July 22nd. And then these transits I had for the end of the month, as in retrograde fashion. I actually had tried this once already, and between there being no planets in air, and I'm so ruled by air, because you see this is fire and these are earth. We have at that time that was in, the sun was in Cancer, but now the sun's in Leo, so fire and more earth and water down here. So yeah, it's hasn't been favorable for getting the words out. But I've also had a lot of issues with, and I don't know if anybody else experienced this, but with my internet. And yeah, and then the one day I was going along and ran out of power, but that was because I wasn't plugged in. So anyway, we'll just do a check-in and see where you're at, and we'll kind of go over this anyway. Even though lots of these transits we are full on in and have gone on by, it's what I want to know is where you're kind of at, knowing that you see the archetypal energies that are expressing right now. I'm really curious to see if some of these things are showing up. And so, we can definitely have faced some challenges, but we also could be feeling just really playful too, with it in Leo. And we want to, of course, look at the Venus, that's what brings us the most joy and pleasure. And but it's right now in Leo, it's in the sign of the Lion, it's ruled by the sun. And during that retrograde time, it can feel very, very emotional. So I'm wondering if anybody is like really dealing with any of her pride, or issues around feeling like your ego has gone through a major death, like you're just feeling inflated or inflated. It'd be interesting to see whereabouts you're at. Or are you just reviewing and reevaluating and reconsidering some of the things when it comes to your relationships and romantic life, or your business relationships, or your friends, or resources, or monies, or passions, or preferences, or even something very creative? And so we also, like when we're in that Leo phase, we might be reconsidering like how we feel about ourselves, our sense of purpose, like what you're called to, and that special calling that you're being called to, because Leo, of course, is ruled by the sun, and that's your personality and your vital force energy, and what you're being called to do. So I have to wonder if the sense of purpose, or if there's a change that's happening within, where you're sort of contemplating like where I'm at right now isn't serving me anymore, and how you want to evolve and grow and change with that. And if you're going through any kind of a almost Pluto feeling of the death and rebirth, and the Leo is shining the light, of course, from you, and maybe feeling like it's going through a major transformation. So if you're thinking like where inside you that light has been dimmed, or if it's feeling like there's something really painful going on. So in the empowerment coaching, we use a scale, and the scale is basically like starting with your guilt and shame at the very lowest of emotions, and working through the victimhood, or any kind of grief, or the fears, or shifting up into pride. And it's like a dimmer switch. It's like your light shines brightest when it gets higher and higher. And once you can get actually out of all that conditioning, out of all that programming, out of your head and into your heart space, and lift yourself into like that Leo courageous energy, and potentially just get into more of a neutral zone, that's when you're starting to get more into the power and feeling empowered. And that's when your things that you're looking to do can actually be created. That's when you're feeling deflated, that is not a real energetic place to be, to really shift things forward in your life. Or if you do, just out of sheer force, is not sustainable, right? So that's basically what we work through when we do the empowerment coaching. And if you're not feeling like fulfilled, or just kind of really disconnected from everybody, and we have to look at like, who are our people? Like when Leo is a sign of loyalty, right? So it can feel like there's some major sort of, I guess, with the shadow side of Leo is the drama, right? So everything, if you're going through a real kind of inner transformation and looking where you can change things, or people in your life are, you might notice like it may feel like it's either really it's a lot more painful, it hurts a lot more, it's a lot more humbling, or people are, turning things into something that's a lot more grandiose. And, we all want that feeling when Venus and Leo like to feel special and loved and unique in some way, and like they are the chosen ones. And natally, I actually have Venus and Leo. So I get that, because I'd like to be respected. I understand that part of it. For sure, I feel like I definitely have that when it comes to relationships. And so I guess it's a matter of, in retrograde, sometimes you can feel a little bit more down, or you're feeling a little bit bad. And it also can, create some more of the difficulties, and that can feel a lot more pronounced, a lot more dramatic, a lot more traumatic. And yeah, so if anybody is feeling like a little more, likely they're needing a little more extra support, make sure you reach out and get that support that you need. So, because even though we know we're in this time, sometimes you can have some sort of a breakthrough, right? And it doesn't need to be this like big epic kind of motion picture show when you're going through these major transits and transitions in life. And because, and lots of times it is triggered by other things that, are going on in the sky, or what's hitting our own chart, and we're not even aware of it. So that's why it's nice when we bring in the astrology, and it's like, okay, so that's what's happening. Okay, so sometimes it is a major life-changing time. So you just always good to know, to see the cycles and the patterns. So we're going to talk about that. So there's only about 5 signs when Leo goes retrograde, and it kind of forms this 5-pointed star. So I was listening to Chris Brennan's astrology podcast, and they were going over these dates, and also showing the really cool astronomy software that actually tracks Venus when it goes retrograde. So you can actually see like what it looks like in the sky. And of course, it's not like it is going backwards. It's just the perspective, when we have it from the earth as the center type of thing. So when Venus is in Leo, and of course it comes back around like every 8 years. So, and it comes back to that same spot. So the last time it was July to September in 2015. So we have this one right now. Last one was in 2015. So what was going on then? I sure know what was going on in my life, which is different than what's going on right now, but yet definitely had a lot of the Leo retrograde themes. And 2007 was the one in Leo prior to that. And then with the cycle of Aries, it's March to April. So we had that in 2001, 2009, 2017. So that's here again every 8 years, right? And then there's the Libra, kind of dips back into Scorpio. And so that one was, or I guess it's kind of Scorpio and Libra axis. So the October to November 2002, 2010, 2018, and Gemini, Leo retrogrades was usually around May to June, 2004, 2012, and 2020. And so 2020, May to June. So that was just after things kind of almost came around after the real hard lockdown, and then it kind of came around for a little bit in the summer, and then it flipped around again. And and then we have the one in Capricorn and dips into Aquarius. So between December and January 2005 to 6 and 2013 to 14, and then December 2021 to 2022. So those are some of the dates that you can look at, but this particular one, this where we have this Venus retrograde, we also have the Sun in Leo, and that both of them happen actually July 22nd, and the shadow period started June 19th. And so it went full on in, like I showed you on the last astrological chart on the 22nd of July. So it's there, and it's backing up to 12 degrees 12 minutes. So if you have planets between 28 degrees and 12 degrees in Leo, you're gonna get this being hit like 3 times as it goes, forward and then back and then forward. And so the Venus will move direct at that 12 degrees on September 3rd, and it'll kind of come out of shadow then by October 7th, and it'll be past all the degrees that it is wavered in between. So in addition, then we also have the dates there that I had listed, and of course it happens about every 18 months or so, as you can see from the dates. And so if you have, this is a really good reason to journal or keep track in a calendar of what's happening in life, because you can go back in your photos, you can go back in your journal, and you can see what's been happening in these certain time frames, and then kind of so know sort of what the themes were, so you don't repeat same potential mistakes. Like this is just kind of a funny one. Sometimes in Venus retrograde, people might feel the urge to buy like a whole different kind of wardrobe, or if people talk about buying a whole different color of things that they suddenly want to wear, and they want to maybe get rid of some other old clothes or even newer clothes, but they're just not feeling them at the moment, or they want to do something wild with their hair, but then when Venus goes forward and then they change their mind. So don't be checking out any kind of wardrobe during Venus retrograde, I guess, is the lesson there. We can look at going back, like I said, to 2015, between July 26th and September 6th. That's when that one occurred. And another point is actually just showing in the astronomy here too, is that it's switching from the evening star to the morning star during the retrograde, which sometimes, I guess, when it does that, of course, we have the conjunction with the sun, and sometimes that has been said to have been a little more of a favorable conjunction, as kind of compared to when it comes into conjunction with the sun when it's going forward motion. So July 31st to August 8th is this particular week that we're in, and August 8th will be the Lion's Gate, so we'll have to talk about that after that and see what that's an opening, that's a portal that people find a lot of luck and abundance. So keep that in mind if you are wanting to initiate something. But as we kind of moved through this week, on August 1st, we had our full moon in Aquarius, and so there's been a lot of that's sort of the full moon in Aquarius, where the moon's in Aquarius, but the sun's also in Leo, of course, like it went in the same day Venus went retrograde on July 22nd. And we might be looking at like what we want to do for self compared to what we want to do for the collective. Like, what do you want to change? Or where are you feeling like your shortcomings are? Or where do you feel like you want to be more creative or change some things with your finances with that, Venus in the retrograde? Or where do you want to focus your energy or shine the light to express your more authentic self or your more artistic self and your abilities, or shine your beauty, or show the world your value? And sort of also look at where are you spending and where you want to make some changes in your money systems, and that's because of the, Venus also rules that resources, your financial material possessions. And maybe where do you want to look at having more play, more, the Leo has the childlike energy, and it's the playful energy, and it's the one who wants to be on stage or directing the play, or taking the lead. What do you want to do for pleasure? So these are just some of the things that you might want to work on in the quiet times of the under the summer sun, or if you're in the northern hemisphere, that is. And journal on some of those changes that you might want to bring in for you individually, but also with the collective in mind, right? Now, we had Pluto in the mix, and so as you can see, Pluto's here, right? So we have this 13 degrees moon, and the sun, that's just because of the way the moon moves so fast and just the time frame, but it's in opposition. And we had also Pluto squaring the nodes prior to that, and we had to kind of look at, and we have Pluto, of course, we have this yod happening, and it's pointing to Venus. So we have the sextile between Neptune, our spiritual, and our transformation, and all pointing to the Venus. And so there has to be some sort of adjustments there, and that also comes into play definitely when we're looking at all this transition that's happening and what's being illuminated with the full moon, right? Because the full moon, of course, with the sun and the moon opposite, it's it was a super moon. It's very bright in the sky, and it's illuminating some things. So we'll want to look at maybe what our beliefs are about relationships, and of course, with it being a full moon, we need some of that integration there. So another thing was to go back on the 27th of July. Was there anybody that kind of came in with a little bit of information? Because that is also important. We had Mercury, the information gatherer, the one that goes out and collects all the little tidbits, and that was conjunct the Venus and Leo, and had a little golden nugget of information that probably is going to play out and be part of this whole retrograde, and might give you some information in regards to your finances or romance, or something creative project, or some way you want to make a decision. So it's Mercury's, of course, it's the ideas and the thoughts and the opinions we form, and the way we communicate, the way we write and speak, and all those sorts of things. So we want to look at where that is bringing in a very tangible message in regards to either relationship or money situations. So yeah, that full moon in Aquarius is in air, and it has some wisdom. So we want to look at what it is. We want to ask the divine source in this Venus retrograde, and ask what it is to show the way of how you want to express your Leo self, illuminated by the sun, illuminated by that full moon in Aquarius in its best way. Look at your desires. It also is looking at where your heart might be wounded as well, and reevaluating that, so we can create a whole different feeling and balance around some love. Harness your passion, step in and engage, and bring in a whole bunch of the inspiration and lessons, and anything to do with where the sun is illuminating the courage and love and the warmth and the, showing some generosity. So we'll just leave it at that for now. Thank you for being here. And well, until next time, we will talk to you then. And don't forget to make a comment or like and subscribe, and let me know where you all are at after this full moon in Aquarius has lit up the Venus in Leo retrograde. Take care, everyone.